Hey everybody, welcome back to my vlog for today. I hope you're all doing well, hope you're all still staying safe. Today is Tuesday, that means it's Top 5 Tuesdays, or Tuesday rather. And last week when I did this, I picked out my 5 favorite video game series. And now in this one I'm going to pick apart one of those series and rank them from 1 to 5. 1 being my most favorite and 5 being not my least favorite, but not number 1. We'll just put it that way. So last time, this week I'm breaking things down. Sorry, I have to take notes because if I don't, I'll forget. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I gotta say that I have not played every single Resident Evil game out there. I've played a good deal of them. But there was some that I did not like that didn't make the list, like Operation Raccoon City. Wasn't too big of a fan of that. But anyways, Resident Evil 0, like that was only on Gamecube. That and Resident Evil 7. I have not played Resident Evil 7. What else here? Yeah, there's more Resident Evils out there. They're all on Resident Evil's wiki site if you want to check them out. Yeah, I'd list them, but I can't remember the rest of them. I wasn't really a fan of GameCube or Nintendo when I got older and PlayStation came out. But don't get me wrong, when Nintendo was out, regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo was out, I was a big fan. I had both, thankfully. I got to play both of them for quite a while. But when I was younger and N64 came out, I went with PlayStation. And this is a game that is, it was exclusive to PlayStation until they did, they made games for a couple other platforms. So the series of games I'll be talking about today is Resident Evil. Or if you're from Japan, it's called Biohazard. To me, this is the mother of all survival horror games. I feel like it gave birth to the survival horror genre. There are some other cool games out there like Silent Hill. I have a few Silent Hill games, and I gotta say I'm not that big of a fan of Silent Hill. I mean, the idea is kind of cool, but it just wasn't for me. And another game that came out when I was younger too that was survival horror kinda. They only made 2 of them. I don't know if you guys ever heard of them, but the game's called Parasite Eve, which I thought that was an awesome game. It was really cool. I enjoyed playing it quite a bit. So in this vlog, I'm going to rate my favorite Resident Evil games by doing a top 5 list, as I said. Now I have to say this is going to be difficult because they are also good. One quick note: there was a Resident Evil back in the day that never made it to production, and that was Resident Evil 1.5, which all of you out there who are fans of Resident Evil, I'm sure you're aware of this. People tried to get Capcom to release the game, but they never did. That, and I gotta say too that I have not actually played Resident Evil 7. I watched PewDiePie play it, and just watching the gameplay was, not only was it awesome, but it was super, super creepy. I could see why he was getting freaked out. I'd probably get freaked out too. Resident Evil 7 was just watching it. It was like watching a horror movie. But I also feel like I don't need to play it now because I watched somebody else play through the whole game, so it kind of ruins it a little bit. But it is what it is. So let's get to the rankings. Remember, this is a top 5, so my first Resident Evil coming in at top 5 is Resident Evil 6. This game was fairly new to me. Like I said, I had played 4 and 5, but I wasn't really, I don't know. It took me a while to get used to the newer Resident Evils. 6 is one I enjoy. I believe you get a partner in this game, which I thought was cool. It definitely made the game more interesting. Also, there's new creatures in the game which were pretty cool. and some of them are really tough to kill, which turned out to be kind of frustrating. So but having a partner and other characters in the game helping out was cool. Like I said, some of the new creatures were cool yet hard to kill. So I think Resident Evil 6 was a pretty good game overall. It's definitely different. But I enjoyed playing it. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't finished a lot of my games yet because for some reason, I haven't felt like playing video games in a while, so I just haven't been on my PS4 at all for at least over a month at this point. But anyways, coming in at number 4 is Resident Evil 1, the remake. I thought the remake of Resident Evil was great. They somehow managed to make it creepier than the original. That and they added a few things like daggers, which come in handy if there's a zombie close to you. But you only get one use per dagger. But they're scattered throughout the mansion. You'll find them in random spots. But playing the remake brought back memories from when I was a kid, when I was either watching someone play the original or playing the original myself. Just the opening scene with the first zombie that you see and when you're playing the Resident Evil 1 scared me when I was a kid because it was super creepy. And it just made the whole game so ominous for me to continue to play. It just, I don't know, something about it was just creepy. So, yeah, and actually this goes for all Resident Evils. And one thing they did to make it creepier was having different camera angles. So you'd be able to see yourself, but you'd be able to hear zombies like off in the distance, and you wouldn't know which way they were coming from. So you could either run into the area where the zombies were, or you could evade, or you could wait for them to come to you. Now, one thing I didn't do when I was playing when I was growing up is I didn't evade, and because I thought you had to kill all the zombies, and that's what my goal was. But it never occurred to me that it's a survival horror game, so you could evade to save ammo and health by running through the zombies and dodging them and everything. But that's something I learned later on after a lot of gameplay. But number 4, was Resident Evil 1 Remake. Number 3, I just talked a little bit about this, so I'm going to keep this part short. Number 3 is the original Resident Evil. This is the one that got things started. I feel like in survival horror games, this is the best. I remember renting it when I was a kid and got to some parts of the game that made me freeze up and not go any further. So needless to say, they made the game very well. This was a kickoff to a new genre of gaming, at least to me. And the whole idea of having to search the mansion in the Arcline Mansion. Search the mansion in the Arcline Mountains was really creepy. Of course, it was thundering and lightning and all that kind of ominous stuff, and the weird camera angles and the ominous music playing and everything like that. Just all added together to make a really creepy, fun video game. So number two is Resident Evil 2. Another game that brings me back to my childhood. I remember you being able to choose between Leon and Claire, and each having slightly different paths through the games and different weapons and such. And then them investigating that police station for so long, being in that police station was just totally creepy. That just getting past the part of having to do all that stuff in the police station, it took a while, kind of, but it was also very creepy while you were doing it. So one other thing about Resident Evil that is good is, like I said, the music. It makes the game creepier. One other thing that scared me as a kid in Resident Evil 2 was Mr. X. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. He's the big, I guess you would call, tyrant. He would just kind of burst through the wall and surprise you. He'd randomly show up in the game. That guy, super creep. Scared the heck out of me. But which brings me to number 1. And for my number one pick out of all the Resident Evil games I've played, my favorite is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Um, this is a really eerie and creepy game, especially since your first run-in with Nemesis is in the beginning of the game, but the game gives you the option to stay and fight or run inside the police station. I would choose run because it's a survival game, and you need to save your ammo and your health, so you could avoid having a altercation with Nemesis. It would definitely save on your health and your ammo, especially because at that part of the beginning of the game, I don't think you have too much in the way of weaponry, so it'd probably take forever to kill him. Or, well, he doesn't, he always keeps coming back, but I think it would take a while with the lack of weaponry that you have in the game at that point. So the best thing to do is to run, get more ammo, get different guns, stock and lock and load. But yeah, he also, that's the other thing, he also has the element of surprise on his side. So that makes it for some awesome gameplay, but it's also really creepy gameplay because you never know where he's going to appear, which is one thing I liked. And I think if I had to pick my favorite tyrant, it would be Nemesis. Nemesis is just awesome. He's got a rocket launcher. Even in the one movie, the one Resident Evil movie, Nemesis was in it. They did an excellent job at making him look the way he looks in the video game. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, there's a lot more I can say about these games. But like I said, for time's sake, I can only talk about so much. But Resident Evil's, yeah, hands down, is my number one favorite video games. So that's, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, if I had the time, I would have broken each game down more, but the vlog would be way too long, which it probably is anyhow, because I love these games and love talking about them. Definitely some of the best games ever made, in my opinion. That and they've been around. Those games have been around since like 1996, I think. Was when the first Resident Evil came out. There was a Resident Evil that came out, but then shortly thereafter there was a director's cut that came out. So finding the original Resident Evil would be awesome. That's probably just one of the rare. I might actually look that up and see if I can get a hold of a copy of the original Resident Evil. I'm not sure what the difference is between the regular Resident Evil or the director's cut. That much I don't know. I probably should know, but I don't. But anyways, so those are my top 5 favorite Resident Evil games. If you guys have a difference in opinion, you can always leave me a comment. Let me know what your top 5 games are from whatever series that you pick. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to do more of these videos about video games. So yeah, next week I'll be breaking down a different series of games. And that's going to be it for me. So yeah, click the subscribe button. Consider doing that. And also, if you do that, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And that's going to be it for me for now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.